Now, former police spokesperson Vincent Mdunge will know his fate today when he appears in the Durban Regional Court for sentencing. He's facing charges of submitting a fraudulent matric certificate when he joined the police in 1987. In November, magistrate Thandeka Fikeni ruled the matric certificate Mdunge presented was not valid. The value of qualifications, usually some indicator of an employee's abilities, have been under threat from the increasing prevalence of degree fraud, according to qualification verification agencies. Inspite the buying and selling of fraudulent qualification documents being a criminal offence, the demand and supply of these documents is well on the rise here in South Africa. Recently, police arrested 19 teachers across KwaZulu-Natal for allegedly submitting false matric and tertiary qualifications. South Africa's ambassador to Japan, Mohau Pheko, told the SABC that she regrets saying she has a doctoral degree when she does not. Pheko joins a list of high-profile people who claim fraudulent qualifications that include senior members of the ANC and former MP Pallo Jordan and former SABC chairperson Ellen Tshabalala. We are joined in the studio today by the qualification verification specialist and director of iFacts, Jenny Reid. Very good morning to you, Jenny. Thank you for joining us. The problem of forged or fraudulent qualifications, how prevalent is that in South Africa? We hear a lot of people say, oh, it's on the rise. Is it really, or has it been a problem for forever?
No, look, it's been a problem. I think there's more publicity around it these days. We're seeing about 1 in 3 of the qualifications that we verify are fraudulent.
And that's not 1 in 3 of all the qualifications in the country.
Well, I think it's a pretty fair statistic.
1 in 3 of
1 in 3, yeah.
Of all qualifications in the country are fraudulent?
Yes.
Wow.
Either fraudulently obtained, or they've lied about the marks on the qualification, or they've just falsified somebody else's certificate. So we see all different types of fraud, but it still means they don't have the qualification they claim to have.
How does this scenario play out? In some instances, we have non-accredited institutions that hand out. What are some of the other scenarios that play out?
Well, we have people who register with a university and claim to have the degree. Meanwhile, they've only registered for the course and never attended lectures, never got the marks. So that's one of them. You can buy them. I mean, off the internet, we get regular scams where you can buy an MBA for $100.
An MBA for $100,
yes,
really?
Yes. So you get those kind of ones. Then you get people who create their own qualifications, and it's often a play on words of the well-known universities and that type of thing. Yeah. So somebody who's not experienced in looking at it won't realize that it's a fraudulent qualification. We had one, for example, from Cambridge, where it was a Cambridge certificate, all the logos were correct and everything, but the course that they had allegedly qualified in, Cambridge didn't offer. So, you know, there's a whole lot, and with scanning and in computers today, you can create anything you want.
What are some of the names of institutions that employers should be on the lookout for that often, or that are often embroiled in these controversies?
You know, I can't say that there's any one that particularly stands out. There are diploma mills, and that's people that sell fraudulent qualifications. But those names change on a regular basis. And that's why it's always useful to use a third party to verify that who've got the right connections and links into the places where you can actually obtain the correct information.
By law, if you've been employed by a place, what's your experience? If you've been employed by a place and you've earned a fraudulent salary, say of R1 million for a year, do you have to pay that back once you are done, or once you've been exposed?
Interesting debate, and it's the second time recently that I've been engaged in that. I'm not aware of any company that has done it, but I don't see why you shouldn't. Unfortunately, people run away from the judicial system. And in the corporate world, we're seeing a lot less exposed, because one of the questions we asked is why are we seeing so much of it in government parastatals? I think the corporates do a lot to keep that under wraps and so to protect reputation.
Yeah.
So if they went to court to try and recover the money, it would be in the public space, and I don't think people want that.
What do you think is the cost to South Africa, the wider economy, of dodgy qualifications?
You know, to replace an employee, we're saying that it's 50% of the annual salary is the cost of replacing a staff member. So you can put that in the salary range. And I mean, some of our government officials, top-level executives, cost a lot of money. And you take half their annual salary as a cost to a company, and then you've got to replace them. And you've got to train them. Whereas the cost of the verification prior to employment is insignificant.
Well, Jenny, thank you very much for joining us today. It's certainly very worrying to hear an expert say that 1 in 3 of all the qualifications in our country could be dodgy. Thank you. That is Jenny Reid, who is director of iFacts. They check for dodgy qualifications and they find 1 in 3 is dodgy. Very concerning indeed. But we move on. I thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Eben.